Hello students, now let us talk about the fourth part of the VS of the mature ovule. Now, in this part, I'll be basically talking about the functions of the different parts of the ovule because now you almost know all the parts, right? So that first part down there is the funiculus. And what do you think will be its function? Its main function is going to be support. Next function is going to be projection. It will project the ovule in the ovary, and finally it will also help in conduction of nutrients right into the body of the ovule. Now this next structure in the center is called as the nucellus. The nucellus is the main part of the body of ovule, right? And that is why it is also called as megasporangium proper. And the name says it because it is called as megasporangium proper. It is here where megasporogenesis will take place. After that, it is here where the development of the female gametophyte or the embryo sac will also take place. Is that okay? Now, moving on. The next structure are the integuments. Now you know that the integuments form a protective coat around the nucellus. So its main function is going to be protection to the nucellus as well as the embryo sac, right? And also remember that angiosperms were bitegmic. So you have an outer integument and you also have an inner integument. These two structures after fertilization will turn into seed coats. The outer integument will form the testa. The testa, you should know, is thick and resistant. And the inner integument after fertilization will turn into the tegmen. The tegmen is thin and it is transparent. Is that okay? Moving on. This next structure at the bottom where the integuments do not cover the nucellus is called as micropyle. And what is the function of micropyle? The micropyle will basically be for the entry of this tube-like structure which is coming from the male part. It is called as the pollen tube. So during fertilization, entry of pollen tube into the ovule will be from the micropyle. Is that okay? Moving on. Remember very importantly that after the seed has been developed, so during seed germination, it is that same micropyle which will persist and will also basically start absorbing water, and when enough water has been absorbed, it is going to develop that first structure which develops from the seed, which is called as the radicle. You got that right. You have learned this last year, right? Moving on. Finally, what you need to know is that center part, right? That center part is the big embryo sac, right? Embryo sac is also called as female gametophyte. Remember here at the micropylar end, you see these three cells called as the agapparatus, right? Now from this, if you see those two cells at the bottom, they are called as the synergids. Now these synergids have a special structure on them called as filiform apparatus. The filiform apparatus will basically get that pollen tube which has entered the micropyle enter into the embryo sac. Does that make sense? And after the pollen tube has entered the embryo sac, the synergids will basically degenerate or they will disappear, right? Then what will happen? What remains down there is the egg cell. And what happens here, the egg cell will basically fuse with that first male gamete, and on fusion they will form a diploid structure which is called as the zygote. Is that okay? Very good. Now what you remember is right in the center are those two polar nuclei. Now before they can get fertilized, they are going to fuse to give you one structure. Yes, and that structure is called as the secondary nucleus. Remember? Now this secondary nucleus is going to fuse with the second male gamete and give you a triploid structure called as primary endosperm nucleus. Later on in the development, the zygote will develop into the embryo, which will also be diploid, and the primary endosperm nucleus will develop into the triploid endosperm. Is that okay? Now what remains are those three cells on the top which are called as the antipodals. They are just accessory cells. They don't really have any function. So they will ultimately degenerate or they will simply disappear. So now you've understood the basic functions of the main parts of an anatropous ovule. So in this module, I've talked about the fourth part of the mature ovule. In the next module, I'll be talking about the development of the female gametophyte. Is that okay? Till then, thank you and take care.